plays games with Jay. Reason for the fire.
Okay.
Make your argument.
Probably the oil lighter. Let's load that first.
The direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
Okay, never mind then. The killer used some kind of setup and lit the curtain on fire with the lighter. Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse? They probably just threw the lighter. Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can stand upright while the flame is lit.
If they tipped over the lighter in some way, it could have ignited the current. Some way?
Maybe they used invisible thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over with the sound waves.
Or perhaps the opening the door caused intense wind pressure to tip over the lighter.
Okay, I got it.
Just checking, you're shooting which one?
Sonia's, the door opening. The first one, not the wind.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah,
Just, you know. There you go.
I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
Just as I thought, it was the wind pressure, a dust devil blown here from glorious Japan, Kaze.
No, not the wind pressure. They probably used the Monokuma panels. A huge number of tipped over Monokuma panels were found at the crime scene, right? It looked like they were scattered everywhere, but some of them were lying on top of each other in a single line. Just a single line leading from the warehouse door to the firehouse origins.
Does that mean anything?
The killer probably arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
A domino effect? You mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up and tipping them over?
In place of those tiles, the killer used the Monokuma panels. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second. And from there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
That's probably why they turned off the lights in the warehouse so we wouldn't notice them. So the reason the warehouse was dark was to hide the domino effect. And one more thing. There was something else the killer did to hide the domino effect, right? The killer did one other thing to hide the domino effect. Oh. You're talking about the MP3 player, right? That him blaring throughout the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels. The inside of the warehouse felt even darker because our eyes were still used to the bright sunlight outside. Within that darkness, a loud hymnal blared throughout the warehouse at full volume.
Hey, do you guys hear something?
Yeah,
It's a little depressing crap.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, no, I got fire. What the heck? It's hot.
Fuck.
That's it. So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
I open it slowly. No, that's not the problem. It'll be fine. I'll open it. Clutter. It's not opening. I'm going to open it. It'll be fine. This guy, I'm going to push it. I don't care. I'll kick it. Bam. Ah, so the door was being blocked by a Monokuma panel.
And also, everyone's like, Chiaki, what the heck was that?
She's like, and then she has like a little Akane figure.
Yeah.
And then she's like, bam, bam. And when we opened the door, the domino effect started, and the falling panels eventually reached the lighter.
Yeah, and that's how the warehouse caught on fire. At least, that's how it looks. You don't look so sure. At the time, Akane mentioned that she could barely open the door.
Because the panel was blocking it, right?
But the blocked doorway, there wasn't enough space for a person to fit through, right?
Is that a problem?
It's a major problem. I mean, that door was the only entrance to the warehouse. If that door was the only entrance to the warehouse, I see. So the problem Chiaki's talking about is the panel is so close to the door that it could barely be opened. The killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to leave, right?
Now that you mention it. Does that mean they were hiding inside? Who? We were all outside the warehouse, you know. But based on the patterns up until now, I believe some kind of setup was used.
You don't have to think so hard. There's actually only one person who could have possibly done this. Huh? You don't mean... But if that's true, this murder...
Hajime? What do you mean?
The person who set up the domino effect inside the warehouse. There's only one person who could have done that. I'm not quite sure, but no, that's not it. Sorry. Wait, what? Hold on.
Who is the only person who could have set it up? What did they just argue about? They were pause it for a second.
So they were arguing about
Or they just settled what?
They
Right
just
before
settled
this.
how the lighter happened. How it
No, after that, like right before this.
it was the door, and then after the door, they were saying like, how's that possible? Because no one could have left.
No one could have left, right?
Yeah, and then they were
So
like,
who had to set this up?
we were all in there. What if it was Nagito?
Well, why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.
He wasn't just the victim. Maybe.
Huh?
Not just the victim. What does that mean? He was the victim, and he was the perpetrator, too. Maybe.
Did you think it was me, Hajime? Are you saying this was a suicide? Don't be stupid.
I feel like I blamed Sonia so many times by accident, but I was like, it was a little too. I was like, wait, where the hell is Sonia? Like, I kept thinking about that.
His body was covered in torture wounds, or did you already forget? Are you saying those were all self-inflicted?
But Nagito might do something like that, don't you think?
That's not the issue. He was tied up, remember? Even for a creep like Nagito, it'd be impossible for him to tie up his own arms and legs.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, as long as you understand.
It seems we need to discuss how Nagito was able to tie himself up.
I need to discuss. That's not necessary at all. No matter how much you think about it, it's clearly impossible.
Like he said, it's impossible if you think about it, but...
Or it seems impossible.
Oh, I feel like I'm overlooking something. Guys, are we sure it's not Sonia?
What the hell, Hajime?
Look, just because we both fucked Gundam doesn't mean we have to be friends.
Damn. You're not wrong, though. He did love me more.
Hey,
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. It's obviously impossible. Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
you couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself. How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
Dirty joke. Is that a dirty joke? If our assumption that Nagito committed suicide is correct, Nagito should have tied himself up too. That's okay, right? I'm a little confused. Hold on. I was like thinking about the burned rope, but like, okay, let me, because I was thinking about, I was like, okay, if the torture wounds weren't actually torture wounds, that he like had the knife in his hand, in his free hand, and was able to like, and like, okay, okay, I'm just like really thinking like a bit farther ahead. If maybe Nagito was trying to kill himself and then he didn't realize that things were catching on fire and the part of the rope burned off and then he's like desperately trying to like cut off the other side, but he can't reach because his limbs are too far. So he ended up accidentally cutting himself while trying to free himself. But I think I'm just like, my brain's moving a little too fast right now. That's why I was thinking about the burned rope as like the clue, but like the rope that was tied to Nagito's right arm burned off. However, Nagito's right sleeve still looks clean. So, okay. So right now we're trying to figure out how it was possible for him to tie himself up,
or contradict it,
or contradict it. Body is Furthermore, there's a lot. No. What are my clues? Hold on. Burned rope, survival knife, duct tape, plushie, panels, lighter, the torture wounds. Okay. Torture wounds. Both of Nagito's legs were tied with rope, and each rope was tied to nearby pillars, which prevented him from moving. Okay. Burned rope, survival knife. Were caused by that knife. Blood on left hand. That wasn't a clue. Duct tape. However, the blood that was... That's not that one. Monokuma plushie. As if it was stabbed. I'm not quite sure here.
Okay, so let's look at our choices for what we can shoot at.
Okay.
The first one was tying both arms and legs.
Mm-hmm. If you were to do it you by yourself, or we can agree with using your teeth or using your front tail.
Okay, so which of those four do you think we need to be shooting at? One is like tying both your arms and legs, and what was the second one? It was be by yourself, and then use your teeth. But that was an agreement one, and then use your dick, which I think we can rule out. So, which words do you think we're supposed to be shooting at here?
I think it's Fuyuhiko's by himself.
Is there anything that would contradict and say that he was with someone else?
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's think about something else. What's the first one?
The first one is tying both.
Right now, so.
It's like the very first one, right?
Yeah, and so the first one is saying to actually tie up your own arms and legs. So if we're gonna shoot something that's contradicting it, right?
Yeah.
We're saying that didn't happen. What would make sense here? Try to think like Nagito. Nagito is a fuck, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Look through the clues we've got. Look at the descriptions.
Yeah.
See what you can figure out. So let me ask you one thing. If we shoot a bullet at this, what are we saying?
We're basically saying that we're shooting at tying his arms and legs, right?
Right.
Like,
so what are we basically saying by shooting a bullet at that? If we're shooting a bullet at it,
we're basically saying that he didn't do it.
He didn't do that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then which of these pieces of evidence would support that he did not actually tie all his arms and legs?
The burned rope, because it's still tied on his arm. So what are my bullets? Oh god. Okay, survival knife, duct tape, Monokuma plush, panels, lighter, torture wounds. The torture wounds, right? No.
So Nagito's really got you. Now let's think. Everyone, pause it. Everyone is assuming.
Yeah.
By looking at this crime scene, he was tied up on all four limbs, right?
Yeah.
Why do we think that? Because of what?
Because of all the wounds on him and like, I mean, just look at him. He just looks like he's tied up.
He does, right?
Yeah.
That's the ingenious part about it. But so Nagito wanted everyone looking at this crime scene to think, yes, he was tied up all four limbs. But what but that doesn't have to be true based off which piece of evidence.
Based off the burned rope?
Go click on it. Read it.
Oh, the sleeve is still clean. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Also, my neighbor's like knocking on their wall. I don't know what's going on. Like, sorry, I'm like, I don't know if you hear that.
Very light, so.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe they could be nailing something, or I don't know.
They did just move in, new neighbors, so probably ran away from the piss comments, but
Right.
hold on a sec. Isn't that premise flawed?
Somewhere a Sanrio playthrough, by the way. What? I mean, it's no mistake that his arms and legs were.
No, it shouldn't have been both of his arms. The rope on his right arm was completely burnt up. Based on that, you can't say he was tied up.
That was just burned by the fire. He should have been tied up before then.
It burned because of the fire. Like you said, it might look like that. But that was part of the trap. There's concrete evidence that proves it.
I like how he says "I see" at his own thought.
Yeah.
Soka.
Take a look. Take a close look at his right sleeve. Even though the rope was burnt up, his sleeve wasn't burned at all. Wouldn't you agree? A burn like this, no matter how you think about it, is unnatural. That rope was burned in advance, so it would look like it was burned in the fire. Then Nagito's right arm wasn't tied up, right? He was able to move it freely, right? Yeah, that should be the case.
Hajime, that's awesome. I'll let you cop a feel if you want.
What the fuck?
Akane, you should not give it away for free. Make sure they pay you first.
Oh my god. I mean,
That's definitely wrong. No, I can agree with that.
I mean, yeah.
Fine, just gotta get a Benjamin from him before I let him touch me, right? That's not what I meant. I'm talking about Nagito. You fucking pervs. I mean, even if his right hand wasn't tied up, the knife was still stabbed into it, you know?
It's impossible to stab a knife into your right hand with your right hand. That much is obvious.
Hajime, you tricked me. Give me back that Benjamin. You can't touch these.
Sorry, I'm just like, because I know they translate from Japanese, but it's like I'm still thinking. I'm like, Hajime, no, I'm Harry, and if we're Americans,
Yeah.
you know, yes,
Harry, don't you dare touch my bosoms.
Yeah. Not only did she try to charge me, now she wants the money back. What the heck? Hold on, there should be a way.
Then hurry up and spill it. If there's something lame, I'll make you give back the Benjamin with 10,000% interest.
Oh fuck. A way to stab yourself in the right hand using only your right hand. It's okay. There's definitely an answer for this. Oh boy. I don't know if I can figure this out. Hold on.
That's why I'm here. Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand? If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way? Is he a throwing knife expert? Maybe
he propped the knife somehow and slammed his right hand down on it.
propped it into what? If he just propped the knife, he could have used his bound left hand. If you're tied up, your arms won't bend that easily. We don't know if his left hand could even reach his right hand.
If Nagito could only use his right hand to stab himself in the palm, then how did he do it? Okay. Let's see. There's a laceration in the left arm. The left arm laceration is not as deep from what I remember as his leg wounds. Hold on, I need to see like what. Prop the knife somehow. No, I'm not thinking. I thought for a second, because I remember the blood on his left hand was like someone was like placed weird, that he was maybe like, because even though he is like bound, if he had a wound on his left arm, maybe he could just like through like sheer maddening, disgusting human physics of just like pulling his like Gerald's game style, like not fully, but like kind of like pulling his arm closer to him, and like enough so he can reach his whole arm over and slam like his hand into the knife in the palm of his left hand. But that doesn't seem right. And I did notice that the blood in the girder was like was one of the clues, and I'm like, I don't know how that would be, because like Chiaki saying it was propped up made me think about this, but I was like, but still, like, why is there blood up there? Like, even if it fell, like, that's crazy that like it precisely landed straight down.
Who suggested that?
Sonia was talking about if the knife fell, and then
okay, what's Chiaki suggesting?
And Chiaki was saying if the knife was propped on something.
And then what did Nagito do then?
What's up?
And then what did Nagito do if it's propped up on something?
Just he like slammed it, or he like pressed it on his right hand somehow. Like, I think.
Read it. Go.
If he just propped a knife, he would have used his bound left hand. Okay. Hold on, let's go back. She's saying if the knife was propped somehow and slammed his right hand down on it.
Also, I had like a thought. This won't make sense to any of our listeners, but when they were like a knife throwing expert, I was like, yeah, like Dalton the juggler. A little inside joke from my Pokemon RP. Anyway.
Oh my god, it was Dalton. But yeah, okay. But even if she's like, Chiaki suggesting that he slammed his right hand down onto the knife, but the way the knife is stabbed, the knife handle is pointed up. So it's like, how? It's like the knife needs to be pointing up for him, and he needs to slam onto it and then pull it back so that the handle's up, right? So it's just like, okay. Let me read about the survival knife. Survival knife that was stabbed into Nagito's right hand. Yeah, the knife is from the military base. It's safe to assume that the wounds from Nagito's leg and left arm were caused by this knife. Like, if he like did this and
then that would work, right?
That would work, right?
Okay. Yes, because if the knife is like this,
yeah,
and he slams his hand into it,
yeah, exactly, and pulls it back, then the handle sides
So then
up.
we need to try and find the evidence that will support it. So she's saying what? That it was propped on something, right?
Yeah.
So what could that be?
What would it be propped on? What are my clues? The plushie. Right? Yeah, that's why it has the wound and the... Okay.
There you go.
I completely forgot about that thing. The life-size Monokuma plushie. He must have used that to prop the knife. Makes sense. That's why there was a big hole in this plushie's stomach. He inserted the knife handle into the hole to prop it up, and then slammed his hand onto it. If that's it, he had to place the plushie near him, and it also explains the mysterious blood on the plushie. So the blood on the plushie came from Nagito after he stabbed the knife onto his own right hand. I see, so that's the trick.
But for a moment, I seriously thought Monokuma died or something.
A bleeding plushie is super scary. It's not the same fear factor as a doll whose hair grows too long.
After stabbing his hand, he no longer needed the plushie, so he cast it off toward the fire's origin point. He probably thought the fire would incinerate it and destroy the evidence.
So what do you think now for Yuhiko? I get what you're saying about the wound on his right hand, but there's still one huge problem. The spear. Basically, you're saying Nagito committed suicide by impaling himself with a spear, right? If you think about the order, getting killed by the spear should have been the last thing to happen to Nagito. If that's true, how is that possible? He can't grab a spear with his right hand if a knife is stabbed into it, and his left hand was all tied up. Then he probably took the spear first, and as he endured the pain, he stabbed the knife into his right hand. There is a limit to his constitution. If you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly. Shut up.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
Like I said, if you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
Say it one more time. I need to record for reasons. God, soda.
Hey, bastard, you better cut it out.
Like she said, in that condition, it's very difficult to stab yourself with a spear. It'd be hard to use a spear with a knife stabbed into your right hand, while your left hand is tied up.
So you're saying it's impossible?
But no matter what I think, I can't believe Nagito's death was caused by someone else.
I also agree with that. To think that one of us could kill someone with such cruelty, I could never believe that.
You say you can't believe it. You just don't want to believe it, right? But that's why you keep getting betrayed over and over again, right? Same goes for this time, too.
You just shut your mouth. It's against the rules to interfere with everyone. If you even think about doing anything, I have a plan of my own.
Ah, more to be sassing me.
But it's just as Monokuma said. We've been betrayed over and over again so far. So, this might also be the same. Calling this a suicide takes too much for granted, and it's too convenient.
Then are you saying there's a killer among us, Kazuichi?
Of course. That doesn't include Miss Sonia and me. As Kazuichi said, it's true we've been constantly betrayed. But even if I'm betrayed again, I still want to believe in everyone. No matter how many times I may be betrayed, I still want to believe in everyone.
I also want to believe that there's no killer, but suicide is unimaginable.
Do you really think so? But you said it too. It'd be impossible for him to stab himself with a spear in his condition. I did say difficult, but I never said impossible. Oh. Okay, sorry. Something came to me. Huh? I feel that there's some way he could have stabbed himself with that spear. What kind of way? I don't know.
You don't know.
It's impossible for to figure out by myself, so let's think about it together. That's how we made this far up till now.
Everyone working together.
She's right. We made it through several ordeals up till now by doing that. Then, even now. Alright, let's do this. How did Nagito stab himself with a spear? Let's work together and think this through.
When the spear stabbed Nagito, his right hand was covered by the knife, right?
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
And that rules out his left hand. If that's the case, the only other way is...
Use his teeth? Or his dick? Maybe use his front tail? I know guys who have tails that get hard when they're grabbed. But what are you saying?
A blushing Miss Sonia is freaking awesome. Fucking weirdo. Nagito committed suicide, then he must have used that spear to stab himself. Even if his arms and legs were tied up, there's no doubt he used some part of his body. The only thing he could have used is... I'm thinking about the... Blood was splattered on the palm of Nagito's left hand. For some reason, the splatter cuts off in the middle of his palm. Also, the back of his left hand has an unnatural blood stain that's only above. I feel like this is relevant. I'm just not quite sure how. But I guess we're trying to figure out what exactly happened. Hold on. It's still too early to dismiss the possibility they used his left hand.
We should do that next episode.
Why?
I don't know. 30 minutes?